thing about public comment that nobody's here?
We had a couple people.
Read it fast.
Yeah, but they're traditional.
Yeah. They're staples.
Yeah, they're staples.
But we got a lot closer today, huh?
Yeah, but people might be monitored, watching online,
Oh, yeah.
so you gotta consider that.
Yeah.
We have the
Yeah,
exact
mine.
same recipes as the primary.
Sitting in the bleachers with their phone watching.
Well,
Okay, 7 o'clock. Call the meeting to order. Let's stand for the pledge. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The meeting was submitted to the Green Bay Press Gazette on Thursday, December 12th, 2024. The meeting notice was distributed on Thursday, December 12th, 2024, for posting to the Bank of Luxembourg Home Office, Luxembourg Post Office, and Casco Post Office. Our district's mission statement: we inspire minds, challenge students, and promote excellence. We are Spartans. Excuse me. I need a motion to approve the agenda.
Make that motion.
Motion by Bob.
I'll second. I'll second.
Second by Rob. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Public comments. The Board of Education recognizes the value of public comments on educational issues and the importance of allowing members of the public to express themselves on district matters. Prior to making a public comment, individuals must announce their name, address, and group affiliation. Each speaker's comments are limited to 3 minutes. All statements are to be directed to the presiding officer. No person may address or question board members individually. Speakers should not expect an immediate response or reaction to their comments. Any public comment?
good evening, Amanda Odenhoven, special education teacher at Intermediate School. On behalf of all the district employees, we want to take a moment to thank you for your time and attention and willingness to engage in the concerns we raised last meeting. Your willingness to listen and ask questions about the recent decisions has not gone unnoticed. We appreciate your ongoing efforts to ensure that the district procedures are transparent, equitable, and effective. Open dialogue and conversations not only foster a positive and collaborative environment for everyone at LC, but also strengthens our commitment to supporting our students, staff, and our broader school community. We look forward to continuing this productive dialogue and working together to address any future challenges as they arise. Thank you again for your dedication to our district and being advocates for the process.
Thank you. Our next meeting dates, subject to change, are January 20th, 2025, February 19th, 2025, both at 7 p.m., both located in the Luxemburg-Casco High School multi-purpose room. Board, opening comments? None? Administration? Oh,
I didn't want to go first. I always have something to share. But
That's
I was
why you
like,
sit
does
there, so you can
anybody
go
else
first.
want to go first? Sorry. Okay. So, all right. Like I'm wowed every year by the art students, and I think I say it every year, but I make a point of looking at all the business windows as I shop locally, and I've heard lots of positive comments. So, art students did fantastic. It's the Christmas season, so concerts are in swing, so good job to the middle school and high school band concert kids. I was not able to attend the choir concert, so, but they did great. And I don't know if Todd was gonna talk about middle school dance team, but,
Go ahead.
okay. Mel, the coach, took the team to Little Shoot, and they competed in like their second ever competition, so it's a good taste of what varsity is about. The team placed 6th, which was 1.6 points away from bringing home hardware. So I think last night's performance, most of the girls were in tears because the season is over, but she did a really great job like creating the team atmosphere and, you know, getting girls who didn't know other girls like how to work together, and it was just a very positive thing. So that's all I have to share.
It was on the list.
Sorry, I stole your thunder.
No worries. It's all good.
Anything else, board? No? Administration? We'll go right to you right away.
Me?
Hi,
Okay.
sure.
Hi. So, actually, since last month, quite a few things have been happening. We had our parent-teacher conferences at the end of the month, right before Thanksgiving. And those were well attended. We installed another sandbox on the first and second grade playground. And I just want to give a shout out to Van's Lumber. They donated the wood for the framing of it, and SDA Lawn Services donated the sand and hauled the sand for us. So, didn't cost us anything. Jesse just had to kind of prepare a spot and dig down a little bit, but the sand is in and now it's frozen, so it's kind of hard to play in it, but they're looking forward to it when it does run. Let's see, what else? We had our kindergarten classroom concerts for the holidays that went very well and were really well attended. This week we have dress-up days. Today is Mad About Plaid Day, so that's why I'm wearing this. But kind of a fun week and leading up to the holiday break. And then another thing we've been doing is kind of gearing up for and preparing for the first required Ames assessment that we'll have in January. We kind of piloted or did the Ames assessment in fall. It wasn't required yet, but we thought we'd just jump in and do it. And you know, the teachers, I think, are going to feel a little more comfortable going into this round. So, yeah. It's hard to believe that Christmas break is already here. I think I overheard somebody saying about how time flies as you get older. Here it goes.
Wait, it gets worse.
I'm done.
We also had parent-teacher conferences end of November, and we had fantastic attendance, talking with the teachers. They said it was one of our better attended parent-teacher conferences in quite a while. So it's encouraging to hear that parents are coming and wanting to know what to do to help their students. Last Wednesday, we had the senior citizen Christmas party over at St. John's Lutheran Church. We had about 165 in attendance. Great day, great event. Joel and I were calling bingo and giving away door prizes. It was a really, really fun morning. A lot of work that Cindy Dart and Anita Kidder do for that, but it was really fun to be out there for the morning, just enjoying some festive holiday cheer. And then lastly, I don't know if anybody, you've probably seen them on Facebook, but I want to give a shout out to Norm Hippert and Will Seminar. They started a CTE spotlight, so career and technical education. And if you go in the hallway leading up to the cafeteria, every quarter we're kind of choosing 8 students to highlight, and they found a local place to get posters made, and they're up there in the hallway, and then we're putting them on Facebook as well to highlight our students in those career and technical education fields. I think probably 5 or 6 of them have already been released on Facebook. A couple more will be coming for this quarter, and then we'll have 8 more students that'll kind of go up there and put up there to highlight the kids and the great stuff that they're doing for the career and tech ed stuff.
Tyson, you said near the cafeteria.
Auditorium, my apology, going down the auditorium hallway down there.
And you'll see some nice painting down there too, which the custodians helped us out with. Very thankful for them.
I'll actually piggyback on that a little bit too. This week I was able to get Norm and some of the other tech ed teachers engaged with the gentleman that Tweet Garrett, who's in charge of the virtual construction technology. Well, they will scan an entire room or piece of equipment or whatever, and they're going to come in and do some guest speaking and demonstrations for some of the tech ed and fab lab classes there, which I think is pretty cool stuff.
Mhm.
They seem pretty excited about it, so it's a good opportunity for the kids to see technology integrated in construction.
You know, the things you can do with it.
Yep. Yep.
My information is short and sweet. The 5th and 6th grade holiday concert is a huge undertaking. I don't have a lot to do with it, but it's a very stressful event for me. I was prepping Joe Ellen in case I was not there the day of it. But overall, our 5th and 6th grade students did an amazing job, as well as Mrs. Schley and Mrs. Baird. They put on a really great performance. I never really know what to expect from them, but I showed up for that beginning of the day concert, and they had this little like film presentation essentially that the students acted as if they were like news anchors. And so it was just a really great performance put on by all. As you know, because I presented on this last year, it's always really well attended, and that's where the stress on my side comes from, is trying to get everyone in safely, parked safely, and then out of our building, and knowing where everyone is accounted for, or knowing that everyone is accounted for. So that really has consumed our time. Otherwise, I've just been in the classroom a lot, doing lots of mini observations, seeing our teachers, seeing our students, also working on Project Respect, which numerous people in our district are working on for our multilingual students. So it's been overall busy, but good.
Okay. At the middle school, Jenny mentioned the Christmas concert and dance team. Thank you for that. Spinning out of the Christmas concert. That was the first, at the Christmas concert, we start our penny war to raise money for the holidays. So the penny war was all of last week. The 7th graders beat the 8th graders. But the more important thing is that the overall total that the kids raised was in the neighborhood of $700. That money, they determined, there was a group that helped with that. They determined that part of it was going to go toward the cause that Tracy Benz helps out with at the high school, and another chunk of that is going to go to Jarrell with the caring closet and the things as the community resource navigator. In addition, one of our staff took it upon herself to have kind of like a wishing tree, if you will. And so there's all kinds of things that she worked with Jarrell on that are in need for the caring closet. So there are feminine products and socks and toothpaste and all the kinds of things, the consumable things that are in need at this time. There's a bunch of that stuff that is adding up, if you will, in terms of volume. Believe it or not, I forgot to mention this, the girls' basketball season was already finished by the time we met last month. The boys' basketball season finishes Thursday, which means it's just wrestling after that for winter. So that time is flying by. And I do want to let you know that on the 12th, Justine Selk and I met with a group of students. Really, I was in the room. She met with the students, really. We had some conversation based on a student interest about, hey, what about middle school FFA? And do you remember me reporting to you last year about like whether or not we were going to have a dance? And there was a student who sought me out and so on and so forth. Well, similar. A student sought me out. We scheduled an appointment. He met with me. I reached out to Justine. He followed up with Justine. Justine and I met. And that turned into an informational meeting with middle school students to determine if they're interested in FFA and what it might look like if we do something before the end of the school year or if we do something leading into next year. We're trying to figure those things out. So that was kind of exciting. It was, I think there were 20 kids in the room, and there were a couple of others who were interested. So we're in that. Are there people interested? Might we have an advisor? What would it look like before I potentially bring something forward? So. We're supposed to meet again sometime after the break. That's it for me.
So we have 7 students total going into the firefighter program, 2 from Algoma, 1 from Kewanee, and 4 from Luxemburg-Casco. We're ordering the equipment, so when you see a firefighter bill for about $24,000 for, that's the grant money that we got. So I worked with Lou, actually measured up all the kids from all the programs, and so that will stay with the school. Well, the fire chiefs will take care of it. I told them I'm not worried about you guys, and then when the kids come through, we'll fit them up, and when they leave the junior firefighter program, the fire departments will purchase equipment for the people that stay on and do that kind of work. So that's exciting, and then we're also recruiting some adults to take the course here at Luxembourg, NWTC, so we have to have 10 people to have that happen. Tyson and I have been working on adding more courses at the high school level that help students gain college credit. And so there's a diversity course we're looking at, which we have a staff member who could do intro to psychology. And those classes, what's really exciting about them is they pair into the one, they're free. So Allie Schoeneffer does an awesome job because NWTC, it's a transcribed credit, which GB honors. So if they go to GB, or it's transferable across the whole thing, so that's free for kids. We're looking at adding 2 more of those classes that are free, so a student could earn 9 credits total between those 3 classes, which are free, and then the district pays for 18, and then if you do the full 60, right, parents are only paying for 33. We're exploring more classes, and there's actually staff interested in actually earning their master's degree plus to be able to do that, so we're excited about that. So we found Joellen receives an email for a grant that is free for our teachers to be able to do, so that has been exciting. Outside of that, there's always a lot going on, and we'll just leave it at that.
Boy, I didn't even have to use the buzzer.
Did you see that? Yes, I felt that. I could see it.
Jenny, do you need to leave?
I just need to put on camera, sorry.
Okay.
Obviously, we're in full swing of sports here, where we hosted our 2 wrestling tournaments the last 2 weekends, so that one, and I do want to make a shout out to Mary, because I was out of town last weekend, and she runs the show better than I do, so. And the dance team have started their competitions, and then they are hosting a youth clinic on January 7th, so.
Jane?
Yeah, the one thing I was gonna share is that I work with the high school counselors to submit a grant, which we found out this last week that we received that grant. It's a peer-to-peer suicide grant, so $1,000, we can renew it up to 2 more times, and then we have the option to apply again. So that will help kind of fund some of the work that we do with Sources of Strength at the high school. We use our mental funds to kind of cover that program, and then this is going to be an addition. So there's a few things that we do. I know one of the big events is like lock-in, and they're hoping to do some emotional material work with these funds too, to help make it more known to our high school students about the program and kind of raise awareness for it. So I was pretty excited that we got that funding, and we'll have that for the next couple of years. So I'm going to start with the better news. So audit bids went out 2 weeks ago, and will be returned January 31st. So about February, you guys will be reviewing some audit fees. The commercial liability insurance bids will be going out by the end of this week. And then I wanted to update you on some facility issues. During a maintenance check on one of the boilers, and it's the new boiler at the high school, there is a crack in one of the heat exchangers. So I have looked up, there is warranty up to 10 years, but we have to supposedly follow some rules of getting a water sample done, so we've had that done and have not gotten the results back. Now the warranty company is stating that we need to send them the part for a final determination, so I'm trying to investigate a little bit more of like, where is this in writing? So I actually got the email from the guy to call him tomorrow. So there's a company that works with you to try to get the warranty covered, so we're hoping. If it's not, we're looking at about $55,000 for a new heat exchange. So just to kind of give you a heads up, the walk-in cooler at the high school went out yesterday afternoon. The cooler itself is new. We are not sure if the condensers inside are new. So I'm waiting for Nexus to contact me because I can't tell on some of the files that they sent me if the condensers inside are new. And Deb Huckle thinks that's what the issue is. So if that is not, if they are new, there's a 5-year warranty, and then they would be covered because we have a year away yet. And then I'm not sure when the concession stand one happened, but the heat went out in there.
Heard about that.
And so a pipe froze and burst, and so there is water damage all over. Jesse came to me, asked about the property deductible, but it's 10 grand. He doesn't think it's gonna be that much. So I'll have to update you once I know more about that situation. I know I want him to look in to reasons of what reasons do we have the heat on in the winter? Is there a way to flush out the pipes and for, have it? I mean, you would think so I have some questions for Jesse, something like what can we do to prevent this from happening again? So that's where we're at, sorry for the bad news. Yep.
Did you write Santa?
Yeah, right, I know I'm like Merry Christmas, but they say it only happens in threes, right? It's like, I think we're good.
Till the 4th starts and it's 6.
All right, so to start with the computer issue we had with the audio when we had our meeting at Casco, we had IT look into it, and in moving the equipment from here to Casco, the audio cable got crimped. And so when they plugged it in, it fit, but the connector wasn't connecting, and so when they looked at it, everything looked like it was on. But obviously the sound wasn't working, so that they replaced the cable and did an upgrade on the computer, and so it should be working. We haven't heard anything, so wasting texting, so I think we're pretty good. The Luxembourg Area Chamber of Commerce had their annual Christmas party, and there were 3 award winners that have ties to the district. So Fran Charles was the LC Spartan Spirit Award winner for her time with the district and her dedication to helping with athletics. Jenny won Community Member of the Year for all of her volunteer activities. And Debbie Liebeck won Person of the Year as a small business owner, and then all the things she does for the community as well. So, those were the 3 honorees. The band concert yesterday was very good. I saw you. Okay. Yeah, so but it was a nice concert. The kids did a really great job. You might have heard in the news that Act 10, there were portions of it that's being considered unconstitutional. However, there's going to be appeals. I was on a webinar with attorneys, and they're saying it'll probably take about a year for everything to be heard and for something to be decided. So they're advising right now to continue forward under current law, because that is what we're operating on. We don't have authority to operate any differently. So to just keep the status quo until all the appeals get heard and the final determinations are made on Act 10. I met with regional superintendents and Joel Kitchens. He wants to put forth legislation on a cell phone policy. And I was a little bit skeptical of that because, we have cell phone policies. His rationale was that, well, some districts are having a hard time enforcing their cell phone policies. And his solution is to put, like all districts must have a cell phone policy. And I said, well, my policy could be that teachers can decide what they're doing in their classrooms. And then, and he's just like, well, I'm like, well, we don't. We actually have cell phone policies that are working for us. I'm just a little leery about giving away that local control. But he seems to be very adamant about pushing that through in this next legislative session. As far as funding, when Evers used his line item veto to give us $325 a year increase for students for the next 400 years, if we ask for any more, we're probably not going to get it. That we'll probably get the $325. And then as far as funding, they're looking at increasing special ed reimbursements, then we wouldn't have to transfer as much money to cover those special ed costs, which would give us more in our general budget. And that's what they're looking at doing. We talked about 2/3 funding, and he said there's no way that's going to happen. So we'll have to see what happens that way. CPI is right now estimated to be somewhere between 2.9 and 3, which is good, because we budgeted about 5%, so that will help us. However, we're still waiting on our insurance quotes. Those will be quoted out in January. As a consortium, we tried to get other school districts to join our consortium so that we would have a larger pool of people to help mellow out some of the high-cost claims that we have. We looked at CISA 7, we invited them to learn about our consortium and join. The problem is that we are our claims are right now are at over 100%, you know, for our, so we're not like the best people to hook your wagon to at this time. If you are, you know, if your loss ratio is at, you know, like 90 or, you know, 85%, you know. So we're not in a good position to gain people, but we were trying to anyway, to see what we can do. We're also looking at, you know, our insurance broker does bid out. Not everybody, you know, bids, and again, because we have such a high loss ratio, I don't know who is going to bid on us, but that'll be out in January. So like late January, early February, we'll start getting some percentage numbers for our insurance.
Any questions? Okay. Consent agenda. Items under the consent agenda are considered routine and will be enacted under one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items prior to the time the board votes unless a board member requests an item to be removed from the consent agenda for separate action. Do I have an approval?
So moved.
Motion's been made. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Motion's been made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Motion carried. Discussion items. Draft financial audit.
That's another world right now. So I gave it to, I think you guys liked it last year, having it a month ahead that we need to view it, because I mean, that's a lot of information. And then Amber Ebert from Hawkins, she came here last year, she'll come again in January 20th and do a presentation and then answer any questions that you guys might have.
I had a couple, but I'll email them to you.
To send
I wasn't
her?
sure how we were gonna,
Yeah.
if we wanted, but if that's, just a couple of minor things, I'll send them to you so that we got all those answers, so we don't have to waste time.
That would be great,
Good.
thank you.
Thank you.
You were having a blast today looking at this.
No. Some of these things I can get into, some of those financial things, those numbers, no, that's not my.
They have a lot of stuff in there.
There is.
Open enrollment. Caps.
So traditionally, we bring the open enrollment numbers to the board as a discussion item in December for voting in January. Because of some space limitations, we are looking at limiting some open enrollment space available. So what is in yellow is going to be the changes that we're going to be proposing for next school year. So we actually make the decision about open enrollment in January, and this affects enrollment in September, because the open enrollment window is in the spring, and so we have to know how many spaces we're going to allow. So we have the spaces for regular ed, and then Jane put limits on our spaces for special ed as well.
I did reorganize a little bit, how I did the special education, so I kind of combined rather than doing each separate grade level, so combining that with full school, so it's kind of a mixed use, it's at K through second grade, and I did it as one large chunk, which we have 3 dedicated full-time staff members servicing our cross-categorical students, and then rather than separating out like disability category, I did just a significant needs category. And again, we have 1 full-time staff that kind of case manages those significant needs students, so that might be students with significant behavioral needs or cognitive disabilities. So the capacity in those programs are a little bit smaller than the rest of our special ed. So that leaves us, we're pretty tight on space when you take a look at special ed. So really, we're only looking at 2 possible open enrollment spots at the primary school level and not having any space in any other area.
How How close are we with our projections, Norman, to when the school starts, of open enrollment students that will allow? You know, if we have to cap, not for the special ed, I'm talking more for grades K through 12. Are we, you know, we have to cap them, but do we end up being 5 short, 6 short? Or are we pretty close on that?
No, I think that, if I recall correctly, I think there was like, third grade was our bubble last year, and I think there was like, there was only 1 or 2 students, that, we were already, you know, we had met our cap for open enrollment, and so they were denied their open enrollment.
Okay.
And not a lot.
So we don't deny too many then?
No,
Okay.
no, not at all.
Okay.
Other than special education.
Other
It's,
than-
it's the, yeah,
Yeah.
it's the special ed,
Yeah.
right. And we've talked about that before,
Mhm.
because if we have a high needs case that comes in, we would have to service that high needs, and, you know,
Mhm.
it's not one of our kids.
Joellen,
We usually, yeah.
sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. We're pretty well there in 7th grade already, which is next year's 8th grade.
10th grade this year, we had to cap in summer.
8th grade?
We had to cap 10th grade this year.
Oh, 10th grade,
Yeah,
yeah,
tenth,
okay, yeah.
grade, third grade, so,
Gotcha.
but I think
Tenth
we
and-
cap, no, I think we capped like, because when you're looking at the sheet, you know, we did cap, but you're saying that we denied in 10th grade.
This past summer,
This
yes.
past summer,
Yep.
so we denied in 10th grade, yes.
Oh.
But it wasn't a lot,
No, couple.
yeah.
And we had, for 7th grade, which next year's 8th grade, we were at the 162. And then we did have one leave in October or something. So I mean, we were right there.
I always thought our idea was in the high school that we could take a little more.
Well, that's
you
why-
know, and not cap them, you know.
Well, it depends, because when you're talking about 9th and 10th grade, there's a lot of required classes that kids still have to be in.
Mhm.
And so we do have to offer those classes. If you look on the sheet for 11th grade and 12th grade, the capacity, we moved it from 175 to 180. Because we know in 11th and 12th grade, a lot of kids are starting to do dual credit classes. They're doing Rising Phoenix, they're doing the Healthcare Academy, they're doing youth apprenticeship, they're not here. So if that's the case, we can take more kids. Which is why the 175, if you look from, so if you roll up the number from 10th grade to 11th grade, it was 175 when we would have been capped.
Mhm.
But we adjusted the capacity because we know that they won't always be on campus with us the whole day.
Okay.
Any other questions? Okay. Action items, and I might pronounce this wrong, Mike. Discuss and approve the Crete trucking donation. Am I good on that?
So, they are donating, 25,000, the check's are already in the bank, it's going into fund balance to, recoup the money that the board, put forward to the diesel program because you invested in that program, and so we don't have anything we're looking to purchase. We're just trying to, as businesses come in, recoup some of those costs that we took out of fund balance to pay for that, so.
Really nice.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Second.
I'll second.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded, all in favor?
Right.
Opposed, motion carried. Luxembourg Area Chamber of Commerce donation.
Yeah, so every year the Chamber of Commerce has a golf outing and they pick a organization to donate the money to. So this year the Chamber donated $1,500 from the proceeds of that golf outing to performing arts. They did it that way so that it would be a little bit broader. So whether it's going to be theater, band, choir, wherever our instructors felt that it could be needed, they could use it that way. The teachers decided to apply the donation to the intermediate school and primary school music and fine arts department because in our budget, their budget amount is less than the middle school and high school, so they decided to utilize that money at the lower grade levels.
Nice.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Motion's been made and seconded, all in favor?
All right.
Opposed, motion carried. district calendar.
So a committee of the principals and 8 teachers met, and we discussed numerous different topics. If you look at the beginning of the year, one of the things that was talked about was pushing, not doing everything during the summer, but pushing some of our in-service days into the school year. So those are strategically placed, and you're probably wondering why some are where they're at. That's what I'm gonna answer first, because that's what I would wanna know, because it seems odd. So we have what is called Act 20, as the new reading law that's coming up. So we have to write reading plans for the students, and here's kind of how it works. We have to screen them. Pete talked about this with Ames, Web Plus, in 10 days. And then in the next 10 days, no, whenever that student is done, we have to have their plan written within 10 days. So that day, we're gonna start screening like partway through, so, like a week before, so that in-service day, we can sit down with our reading team and our teachers and be able to write the plan. So October 27th, that day fits right in the middle of the screening, because this is new. So we wanna be able to do it the right way, have conversations, and if any of the teachers need support in what am I supposed to do with the student, they'll have the reading team and they can work together. The January 16th in-service day is a full day, which normally it was a half day, and this is because teachers are prepping. We have a number of teachers that flip courses that day, and so half of that day will be to do grades and finish up the semester, and then part of it will be to prepare for the following shift over in their new semester classes, because if you have 5 or 6 different preps, sometimes you're prepping a whole new different class second semester, and that was one of the items from the high school staff. The rest of the staff will have PD during that time, so we'll utilize that for the primary school. And so we kind of make it about what each building wants when it happens, and we're very flexible about that. The January 30th is the date that we had to move. We had it on February 6th, and we found out that the testing window, the second testing window for Act 20 Ames Web Plus, we had to have it the 30th to be able to utilize that to write reading plans again. The following next calendar time, depending on how all this washes out with writing plans and those things, we may be able to, like, for us, what we're trying to do is break up having one in January, one, and then one in February, or 2 in February, and kind of breaking up that month of January and February. At least that's what the teachers requested. I'm just more regurgitating what they do. I just facilitate the meeting. And then on the 27th, it's a half day, and that is for the primary school and intermediate school teachers to do school report cards. And then the high school staff will have professional development on that day. So we kind of flip-flop where the work day happens based on when do they need to have time to do the work. Middle school and high school for parent-teacher conferences are connected again this year. You'll see that they felt like they got a lot more parents here in that process, and so that was requested. Pete always goes through and does the 4K days, and so there's, you'll notice, I believe that the 4K is done one day earlier because they have what's called a field day. The 4K teachers prep is on Friday, and so as we went through and looked at the amount of Fridays and how many preps that they missed, because there's a number of short weeks in there, they ended up being a little bit short of prep time. This was their request. We didn't even tell them this rationale, but we looked through it to compare. So a teacher in a different building can't say, how come they get this versus this? They don't have as much prep time. We looked at that. We talked about it as an admin team, and we're very cognizant of that, but also trying to be flexible as well. So, and then the last day for students is May 28th, and then we have our half-day teacher in service that day. And before the school year starts, there's 5.5 days, which goes for our testing, looking at testing, preparing your classroom, doing all that work, and probably about 2 or 3 days will be for curriculum. Heather over here keeps stealing days and wanting to do more PD with the staff, so I get less days, and she's just a go-getter on
Got
some
lots
of
of good things going.
Yep. So, she always
Gotta
like,
keep the boat rolling.
yeah, that's, yeah, I always have to get her to do that stuff, so before we move forward, any questions you have on the days? Go ahead.
I just want to talk briefly about using the words like extending the school year past Memorial Day is a poor choice of words. But from the parents that I've heard from, they want to make sure that their kids aren't cleaning desks and watching movies those last 3 days. So a couple years ago, we ended the school year early for not all of our buildings, but only for some of our buildings, because they were done doing their curriculum at the primary and the intermediate school. But the high school staff and students still had to go to school. So you want to make sure that there's educational things going on if they're coming back to school after Memorial Day. So just to kind of keep that in mind, that's the buzz that I've heard, so.
Yeah, Tyson.
Yep.
I guess my response to that would be, it's 172 student days no matter what. Like this year's schedule's 172 student days, this schedule's 172 student days. So no matter what, it's the same amount of student days.
So you're saying that it doesn't matter if they learn or not?
No, I'm saying
That's the way it's coming across, and I don't.
No,
I didn't think it that way.
No,
I didn't think it that way.
like, there's teaching
The days are
172
paid, whether they're
days,
learning or
no
not.
matter what.
Well, I
Yeah,
just-
if it came across that way, that wasn't my intent, it's, they're teaching 172 days this year, they'll teach 172 days next year, and the year after, and the year after, so it's,
Well, we all know if you have seniors in your class and you're a junior or sophomore, you usually test it out. And, you know, you have those classes that once in a while you have nothing to do in because you're done. You know, and that happens. But, yeah. Yeah.
I just feel like the
I agree with you.
the conversation at the last meeting in October when we were bombarded by staff, and I paid close attention to facial expressions, and staff is very divided as to if they felt they needed those days or if they didn't. So, you know, we had a staff member speak who, you know, doesn't want to give up their summer and needs these extra days with their students, and then you have someone sitting down the row going, "Oh." And I mean, I was stunned by the facial expressions of staff members. I was very surprised. And if the camera was the other way around, I think they would have been very surprised what they looked like online, so.
I agree.
I was disappointed. I dedicate a lot of time here and listen to a lot of people and talk to a lot of people and talk to a lot of staff members. And to see the division of staff members, I think it's not truly the bond that everybody says that it is, so.
I have no clue. I didn't see them, and the only way to know is to survey the staff, so.
Yeah. I'll make a motion to approve the calendar 25-26.
Second?
I'll second.
Motion's been made and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. School liaison officer.
So our contract with Kewanee County Sheriff, school liaison officers, our calendar year contract, so it's the full, this upcoming contract is for the full year for 2025. There was no increase in expenses, and expenses are more like cell phones, gas for the squad car, squad maintenance, uniform supplies. In the 2025 Sheriff's Union contract, officers are gonna get a split raise, with half being in January and the other half in July. The 2025 cost increase for the district is just based on the January increase, which is 2%, so we're getting a little bit of a break this year. But then in 2026, the wage will increase to include that July increase and then whatever the January increase is gonna be, which they're estimating to be 3.75 the following year.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Motion's been made and seconded, all in favor?
I,
Opposed? Motion carried. Blum Communication and Consulting.
Okay, so we work with Jeff, with PR Communication, and he helps us write articles, and he gets them to the right news outlets where they get picked up by, area newspapers. He helps us write, we've been featured in some professional magazines, and he helps us write those articles as well. He did not ask for a raise last year, knowing our situation with the operational referendum, and that money was very tight. So he's asking for a $100 a month increase this year, for his contract. I think, he's well worth it.
Question I have on that, since he doesn't do anything in June and July, are those months that we are or are not paid for at that $1,800 a month? To me, if he's not doing anything those months, then his $1,800 a month should be for 10 months of work, since he's not doing anything in those months.
I believe it's for
It's
the
the-
only
it's-
10 months.
Yeah, it's, January first, through July 31st, with the exception of the months of June and July.
Okay,
So that's part of the contract.
okay, that's, all right.
And I think even then, depending of what's going on in the school.
Yeah,
he's
I
written
mean, if we
articles.
have something we really need to hit, we really want him to help us get out, he's been very flexible with that.
Yeah.
I have to say, I'm impressed compared to when we first hired him. He's done
It's a nice
a good
job.
job. Mhm. Motion?
Yes. I-
I'll second.
Motion's been made and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Kiwanee County Emergency Management.
So this is an annual memorandum of understanding. It just basically says that if there is an emergency within the county, that the emergency service management can use our buses, they would use our bus drivers and reimburse us for those costs as they occur.
I'll make that motion.
Second?
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. LC School Safety and Crisis Response Plan.
So we tabled this item last board meeting to give everyone a chance to read the paperwork, because it is, I think, 100-some pages long. Dave and Brandy sent a few questions. I put those all into a document and then brought that to the admin team. We went question by question, reviewed the safety plan, and then put our answers in red, sent it to all of you in advance to hopefully be able to review and see if there's any additional
Appreciate you
questions.
giving us the time to go on through and do that.
Sure,
And
no problem.
appreciate the work that you did on that.
Well, and some of those questions you had were good for us too, because it actually provoked a different response in us than we initially had thought, so.
But
Is there
I
any
make
additional questions from anyone?
A lot of work.
Yeah, I make a
I can't
motion
take any
to-
credit, this was all in place prior to me, it's just, we did a really good job of thoroughly going through it this year, probably in comparison to past years, so,
I'll make a motion to approve as presented now.
thank you.
I'll second.
Motion's been made and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? LC Library Plan.
So last year, and I don't know if it was just required starting last year or it had been required and nobody did it. And DPI started checking on it. But we have to have a library plan. I thought it was like a multi-year plan. And it can be depending on how you write it. So our library plan was up to date for last year. We, along with a very long list of other school districts, got a little reminder from DPI that we had to resubmit. This year, our library media specialists, they wrote our goals and objectives in a 3-year timeline. So then we won't have to renew this for another, this will be a 3-year plan then. We don't have to renew it again next year.
I recall Karen and Sarah coming when we met in Casco one of the years, so it must have been, I don't remember, and they did the really nice
Yeah.
presentation
Yeah.
and stuff, so that makes sense that it's this many years now past that point. I'll make a motion to approve.
Okay. Second, Dave?
No, I was gonna just make a suggestion for future, on page 7. Well, first of all, they weren't numbered, I wish they would have been. But on page 7, they refer to FERPA without indicating what that is, and so I had to look it up. By the way, Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act.
Oh,
So then I looked to see what, but if there's an acronym or some such used, At least tell us once what it would be. But other than that, yes, I'll second it. Other than that.
So a motion's been made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. NWTC, start college now.
Just got one more student looking to take a class in spring at WTC. That class is oral and interpersonal communication.
Is that class just not taught here?
Correct.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Motion's been made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Board
I-
policy.
I only asked Tyson because I know, like, there are some teachers that teach some communication classes, but just must not be like this curriculum, so.
Okay.
Board policy, second reading. Items. I'm afraid to say this. J. Rue. Z. No, through double A, sorry. Can we do them all together?
Please.
Yes?
Yes.
All right!
It's a second
Three
reading.
cheers to Dave. Is that a motion?
It's a motion, sure.
Okay.
I'll second that.
Motion's been made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
I'm usually on the first one. You'll get to know me, Tyson.
Information items.
Fair enough.
Anything?
There's none on here.
Okay.
One in there?
Then I need to go into closed session.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Motion's been made and seconded. Go into closed session. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Robert?
Yeah.
Check the time.
It's all right.
Personnel item.
51 minutes.